If you're looking for a way to add some sportiness and protection to the sides of your 2021 or newer F-150, excluding those Raptor models, you should be checking out these Rough Country SF1 pocket fender flares in flat black. Now these will be a great addition to your build if you've added a wider tire or have a more aggressive stance when it comes to your wheel and tire setup and you want to protect the side body and the rocker panel of your F-150 from any kick-up or surface damage. These will also add a lot of style to the sides of the truck with the contrasted black finish and sleek cutouts on the front and the rear end of the fender. Now I would like to mention I only have 2 on the table right here, but you will be getting all 4 out of the kit. Now these will feature a bulkier yet sleek design with good coverage with 5.5 inches of fender coverage and 2.5 inches of tire coverage, allowing you that more aggressive tire setup without all the downfalls of slinging mud or rocks right onto the side of the truck. These will also feature a matte black finish to add a nice contrast to the truck and match with any other black accents. However, you can paint these to match your color code with the right prep. Now again, these will also include the 3 cutout accent cuts on the front and the rear of the fender to up the styling compared to other standard flares. These will be made of a durable tri-blend ABS construction with a smooth flat black finish. Now I did mention that you are able to paint these, but if that's not your cup of tea and you want to keep them plain, the finish will also hold up and be resistant to fading with a UV resistant build. These will also have a no drill install and will include everything that you need, including the seals to create a seamless and weather-tight fit. These will come in at roughly $300 for the entire kit, front and rear, putting these at a pretty affordable price point. Now compared to others on the page, these will be pretty sporty, as to where some of the other designs may have that standard pocket style or a just plain extended design. These will also provide a decent amount of coverage without being over the top like other super wide flares, offering a good middle ground. Now I personally think if you're looking to up the street appeal and the protection with a full set of flares that isn't going to break the bank, then this is going to be the set to choose. Install again will be no drill, and it's going to be a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about an hour to get the job done with some basic hand tools. Now at this point we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown of what that install looks like step by step. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, a clip remover tool, a pair of scissors or diagonal cutters, a small Phillips head screwdriver, and a 7mm socket. What's up guys? Today we're going to be installing a set of fender flares on our F-150, so let's get started. So starting off on the front, there's a few things we're going to have to remove before we install our fender flares. First of which is going to be our rock guards at the bottom of our fenders here. And then we have 4 bolts on the inside lip of our fender that are holding our fender liner in. And then we'll have to remove the bottom bolt out of our trim piece that wraps around the whole front of the truck. Now these are all going to be 7mm bolts, so we'll take a 7mm socket to remove all of these. So now we can grab that 7mm socket to remove our rock guard. Now at the bottom of our rock guard here, we have a push clip, so we can just get up behind the push clip here. Pop that out, and then our rock guard will be removed. So next we can remove the 4 bolts on the inside lip of our fender. Once again, these are 7mm, so we'll grab a 7mm socket to get them out. Now we can come back towards the front of our front fender and remove the bottom bolt in our lower trim piece. Once again, 7mm socket to get this one out. And then once we have that removed, we can repeat that same uninstall procedure for the other front side. So now coming back to the rear, we're going to be repeating a pretty similar process to what we did up front. We have our frontmost rock guard that has 2 7mm bolts holding it in that we have to remove. And then on our rear rock guard, we have a couple clips that are holding it in. We don't have to fully remove this one, we just have to remove those clips. So now we'll start on our frontmost rock guard. So we'll take that 7mm socket to remove our 2 bolts. pop our rock guard right off. Now coming towards the back side of the bed, we have 2 push clips. One of ours is missing right here. We're gonna take a clip remover tool to pop both of these out. Now moving towards the back side of our bed, on our rock guard, we have 2 push clips here. Now this one for ours is missing, but we'll just grab a clip remover tool, get back behind the clip, and just wiggle it out. And then once you're done with that, you can repeat the same uninstall procedure for the other rear side. Now before we start putting the fender flares onto the truck, there is a little bit of assembly we have to do off the truck. First up, we have our brackets for our front inner fender wells. We have our 4 mounting provisions from those 4 bolts that we removed on the inside of our fender. And then we have 3 holes that are gonna mount our fender flare to our fender. So we're gonna be installing our square U-clips. These are gonna pop right over our 3 mounting provisions for our fender flare. Now this is gonna go in this way. So there's 2 sides of our U-clip. We have an open circle, and then on the other side, we have kind of a slit. We're gonna have a bolt that's going through there. So the one with the slit is gonna be going towards the top. So then the circle side is gonna go inward, and we can just pop that on over our holes. And now we'll do the same thing for our other bracket. Now our next step is to install our rubber seal all the way around the outside lip of our fender flare. So we have a strip of double-sided tape on the inside. So we'll peel that back a little bit and kind of dog ear it out the side so that we have a place to start, and then we have a great place where we can grab onto our double-sided tape backing and pull it off. So we'll start on our quartering down here, work our way around, and then we can cut off our excess with a pair of scissors or diagonal cutters once we get to the end. And then once we get some progress, we can pull on that double-sided tape backing and stick everything down, and then keep working our way all the way around. And then once we get to our other side, we can just take a pair of scissors or snips and cut off our excess. And then we'll repeat that same process for our other 3 fender flares. So now we can install our brackets on our front fenders. Now these 4 holes are gonna correspond to the 4 bolts that we took out earlier. And on here, it is stamped with RF or LF to tell you which side it's for. The RF is gonna be right front, which is also the passenger side, and the LF is the left front or the driver's side. So we're gonna raise this up into place, reuse our 4 factory bolts that we removed to install this. And then we can grab our 7mm socket to tighten down all of our bolts. So now we're ready to install our fender flare on the front side. So we're gonna raise it up into place, and then we'll put back the bolt that we took out earlier on our lower trim piece and reinstall the 2 bolts that we took out for our rock guard, just to get everything lined up in place. And then we'll get our top bolts through and then go back and tighten everything down completely once we have all of our hardware in place. So now once we have our factory hardware installed and our fender flare roughly in place, we can take 3 of our screws that are included in the kit. These are going to be the ones going up through the top into the bracket, into those U-clips that we installed onto the bracket. And And then once we have everything hand tightened, we can take a short Phillips head screwdriver to tighten down these screws. Next, we can go back and tighten down all of our factory hardware. So we'll take that 7mm socket and tighten these down. And then we can just come back up front to tighten down our one remaining bolt. And then we can repeat that same process for the other front side. So now moving to the rear, our first step is to install our U-clips. Now there are going to be 3 of them, kind of spaced out along the inner fender well. We have these foam pads with them. We're going to put them down on the bottom side and then put our clip on through the back. This way, once we get our fender flare into place, we can move our clips around a little bit without scratching our paint. So we're going to slide our pad in between and then hook it up into the fender just like that. And then once again, we're just going to want to make sure that our hole that's a perfect circle is pointed downward. Then we get our pad in there and then slide it into place. So now we're ready to install our fender flare onto the truck. So we're going to lift it up, get it all lined up. We're going to put our 2 factory 7mm bolts back in the front side of the fender. And then we have 2 new tree clips for where we removed our clips earlier. That'll go in the back side. And now we can insert our other tree clip. I'll push it into place just like that. And now we can grab our 3 Phillips head screws for our 3 U-clips we just installed and put those in. So now at this point, you're going to want to look up through the holes in the bottom of the fender flare and make sure that your U-clips are lined up in place. If not, you can just reach right behind and slide them left and right. And then we can take our 3 Phillips head screws that are included in our kit and put them up through our holes. And then once we have everything hand threaded, we can grab our Phillips head screwdriver to tighten down our 3 screws. So now the last thing we have to do is come back to the front side of our fender flare and tighten down our 2 7mm bolts. So grab a 7mm socket to tighten these down. And then we can repeat the same process for the other side rear flare. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Rough Country SF1 pocket fender flares in flat black for your 2021 and newer F-150s, excluding the Raptor. Thank you for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.